In this video, I will show you how to configure a policy-based route or PBR on a FortiGate firewall. Policy-based routing, also known as PBR, allows you to specify an interface to route traffic. This is useful when you need to route certain types of network traffic differently than you would if you were using the routing table. Let's begin. For this demo, we are going to use this device FortiGate 60F with version 7.4.4, which is the latest firmware during the time of this recording. The process would be the same even if you are using different firmware versions. If we look at the network interfaces, I currently have two running uplinks or WANs. I did a very basic configuration prior to this video. If you have multiple ISP or WAN connections, then I suggest you configure SD-WAN. It's more convenient to manage. You can check my other video on how to configure SD-WAN. However, if for some reason you don't want to configure SD-WAN, then you need this policy-based routing. You can also use policy-based routing for multiple VPN connections, etc. You can also combine all your WAN connections into one zone. But our goal for today is just to show you how to configure PBR and what's the use of it. I named the two ISP as ISP1 and ISP2. ISP1 or WAN 1 is currently my primary line and ISP2 or WAN 2 is my backup connection. So if in case the ISP1 is down, then ISP2 will automatically take over. We can go to static routes to check the settings. Let's show the distance and priority. We will remove the comments just to focus on the things we want to see. You can see that WAN 1 has a distance of 10 and priority of 1, while WAN 2 has a distance of 10 also but have a higher priority. The rule of distance and priority is lower comes first. In my case, WAN 1 is the primary, even though they have same distance, but it has lower priority. This depends on how you configure your device, even if you have a higher distance on the backup connection. Let's say you have a distance of 15 and regardless of what priority you used, the policy-based routing will still work as long as the backup connection has no issue. Now, let's check the firewall policy. I have two policies, one for each ISP. Notice that all traffic is running on WAN 1. WAN 2 has no traffic since it's only for backup connection. We can also verify by checking the logs. Let's open the command prompt to check my device IP address. I received the IP address of 10.99.99.200, which we can see it as the source IP address on the firewall logs. Let's show the destination interface. Notice that all the traffic is going through the WAN 1 or ISP1. You can also see it's using the policy ID number 1. We can go back to firewall policy to verify. Let's now configure the policy-based routing. It should be under Network tab, but we cannot find it here. By default, Advanced Routing is hidden and Policy-based Routing is included on that category. To unhide policy-based routing, go to System. Choose Feature Visibility. Under Core Features, you can see the Advanced Routing is disabled. Tick on it to enable. You can see the notification at the top. It will show us the pending changes. Click Apply to save the changes. If we go back to Network tab, we can now see the policy routes. By default, there is no policy configured. Again, if we go back to the logs, this device is going out through the WAN 1 or ISP1. Our goal for today is to configure only this device to access Internet via WAN 2 or ISP2. The rest of the devices in this network will still access Internet via WAN 1 or ISP1. Let's go back to Policy Routes. Tick Create New to create a new policy. Incoming interface would be the source interface. In my case, it's the internal. You can hover your cursor onto it to view the details. For the source address, we can either enter the IPNet mask or the network address. For the IPNet mask, enter the IP address, which in my case is 10.99.99.200 followed by the subnet. Since we want to allow only this device, then we will use /32. Another way is using the address. You can simply tick on it and add the address if you already created. Since I haven't created yet, then we can directly add it from here. Tick Create. Choose address since we are going to create address. Give it a name. We will use the computer user or device name. Interface to any, or you can specify the interface. Next is enter the IP net mask. Again, we will enter the IP address of this device followed by /32. /32 means only this device. You can enable static route configuration if you want to use this address on static route configuration. If not, leave it disabled. Comments is optional. Click OK to save the changes. We can now add the newly created address. The same goes with the destination address. We can enter the IP net mask, or we can add the address. Since our goal is to allow this device to access internet through WAN 2 or ISP2, then we will choose all. You can specify the internet service or leave it blank. You can also choose the protocol based on your configuration. You can also specify the protocol if you want. But again, this is for internet access, so we will leave it to any. Next is the action. Forward traffic means accept or allow, and stop policy routing means deny or block. You can use this to block specific traffic or protocol if you want. We are going to allow the traffic, so we choose forward traffic. Next is the outgoing interface. This is where you want to forward the traffic. Since our goal is for this device to access internet through WAN 2 or ISP2, then we will choose that interface. Next is the gateway address. This would be the IP address of your ISP router or the device behind the FortiGate. If your outgoing interface is PPPoE, then leave it to 0.0.0.0 or anything. Comments is optional. Make sure the status is enabled, then click OK to apply the changes. We can now see the newly created policy. Sequence number 1. This policy means, this device or user jack from internal network or local LAN can access internet via ISP2 or WAN 2. Hit count still 0 because no traffic yet. If we go back to firewall policy, notice that there is no traffic also on the policy to WAN 2. Now, let's open another tab and try to access any website. We should be able to see the traffic now to WAN 2. Let's go back to firewall policy. We need to refresh the page. Now, we can see the traffic to this policy. We can also verify by checking the logs. Let's refresh the page. You can see my device IP address is the source. Notice that the traffic is now switching to WAN 2. Let's refresh again. Now, you can see that the traffic for this device is going to WAN 2. All of my traffic will use the ISP2 to access internet. The rest of the devices on the network will still go through WAN 1 or ISP1. What we just did is we only reroute the traffic of this device to WAN 2. The NAT or network address translation and the security features will still be in this firewall policy, so whatever restrictions or limitations you configured will still be applied here. If in case the WAN 2 have some issue or down, this device traffic will auto-fail over to WAN 1 since we never blocked this device on WAN 1. It's the same concept if you configured WAN zone, the only difference is you have only one policy for internet traffic or NAT. You can still use this policy-based routing method to reroute the traffic to your preferred internet connection. Again, you can see the hit count is 0. Let's refresh the page since we already generated some traffic. Notice that we have now a hit count. You don't need this policy-based routing if you configured the SD-WAN, since you can do it on the SD-WAN rules. You can check my other video for the SD-WAN configuration. If you want the traffic to go back to WAN 1 as primary, then delete or disable this policy. Once you disable this policy, then the traffic will reroute back to WAN 1. You can create more policies if you want. You can also rearrange the traffic flow by dragging the policy. Hover your cursor beside the sequence number until you see the 8 dots and drag sign. Hold it and reposition it where you want. The rule is top comes first, so whatever policy on the top will first hit the traffic going down to bottom. I hope by now you know how to configure policy-based routing on FortiGate Firewall. Well, that's all for today's demonstration, and I really hope you liked this video. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe and click on the notification bell for more amazing tutorials. Thank you and see you on the next video.